and welcome back. In today's episode, we have a special guest joining us, Anuj Patel. You've probably seen him around campus and at the Luddy recruiting events, since Anuj is part of EY's talent and acquisition team, and is their lead campus recruiter at Indiana University. So Anuj, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no worries. I wish we could be in person, but such is the world right now, so it's all good.
Of course, yeah, totally. It's online's throwing everything out of whack. But for those who don't know, EY is one of the top hiring companies at Indiana University. They hire many Luddy students. So on behalf of all the students here at Luddy, thanks again for being willing to share your thoughts and on the recruiting and career fairs.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. So I prepared a few questions for you, and I know that every Luddy student will have them on their mind. So the first question is, there's so many students here at IU. What do you look for in a student when recruiting, and what makes them stand out in the crowd?
Yeah, that's probably the most popular question, I guess, myself or any recruiter probably gets, right? And at the end of the day, whether it's a career fair, whether it's an interview, whether it's a recruiting event, at the baseline of everything is we're just trying to get to know the real you, right? You go to a great school. We know you're being prepared to be awesome professionals of the future, the best leaders, and you're coming in with this skill set that sometimes doesn't even exist in our firms, or we're going to be looking for you to bring that expertise to our firms. So focus on showcasing the authentic you, right? Share about what you're passionate about, whether that's something that you're doing at school, something that you're doing outside of school, but also why you're passionate about working for the firm that you might be speaking with, right? This is the chance to showcase yourself. And we really want to get to know the real you beyond the resume.
Definitely, I like that a lot. Trying to make your interview personal. That's amazing. So that's what you look for in a student. Like, what are the most common mistakes that you see in students, at least?
Yeah, and it might not come to a super surprise, but it boils down to preparation, right? We can pretty much tell right off the bat who's taking the time to do research on the company, right? And as you're researching, thinking about things like, okay, well, what's posted, right? What are they actually here hiring for? What else are they doing company wide? So it's not necessarily just about the role that you're applying for, but maybe it's something that you share with the company that they're a part of. Maybe it's their values, maybe it's an initiative they're taking on. But just remember that this is a conversation. So come to talk, right? Like we're here to talk to you. Come prepared with the questions that you have. I can't tell you how many times that I've gone into these situations and it's almost a blank stare after the introduction. And so it's coming with the right questions, knowing why you're there, right? Because we're here to help. So don't be rehearsed. It's good to practice, but career fairs, recruiting events, even interviews, we want them to be conversational, and we want to hire humans. We're not hiring robots, right? But eventually we'll get to that piece in terms of why we use bots at our firms. But we really want you to know what you want. Take that time to research, and take time to figure out what's right for you. And is this even the right firm that you want to be talking to? And so a lot of times, when people come up, I think it's good to get that exposure, get the nerves out of your system. But nowadays with smartphones, I know the career services team does a great job of letting you know what employers are out there. It'll take you, maybe 3 minutes just to Google search our name, just get a quick couple tidbits outside of what we're posting for, and bring that and keep that in your back pocket in case the conversation does get stale, or you get, maybe a little frazzled or the nerves set in and you're like, okay, well, what else do I talk about? Talk about something else about the firm, and then try to reel yourself back into that conversation about the role.
Definitely. I like the personal touch on the company too, because there's so many companies going to the career fair, and when you're doing a lot of those interviews, it could be from a hiring point that feels like just another interview. But speaking of the career fair, this year's career fair will be completely virtual. And as you know, each student is given roughly 10 minutes with an employer. This is completely different from previous years where students would have to prepare an elevator pitch and use social skills to keep the conversation going for at least 5 minutes. What change do you think it will bring to the initial meeting, and what can students do to adapt to such the change?
Yeah, and I think you won't lose that in a virtual setting, right? The only difference is your time is going to be constricted, right? So kind of a tricky question, but you're still going to want to bring those social skills, right? Going back to a couple of my other comments, like we're trying to get to know you. So you're going to still have to showcase those social skills. And, you'll have to make sure that your resume speaks for itself. I think a lot of times when we have these interactions, people are very quick to go into their elevator pitch and then they start listing off all the things that they do on their resume. Well, that's what your resume is for, right? So your resume is going to highlight those experiences. We'll be able to read through it. So spend more time understanding the role, right? Asking us the right questions. Why don't you, spend more time sharing why you'll be a good fit for the position, or talk about some of the research that you've done. But I think you still come with that elevator pitch, and start it off strong but concise. So name, year in school, major, graduation date, and then even more importantly, what you're hoping to accomplish in that 10-minute time slot, right? So come with a purpose. And what this does is this helps the other person on the other end, right, the professional, know what relevant topics to stick to, right? They'll still want to get to know you, but they'll also understand what you need from us in that short amount of time. Now, 10 minutes seems kind of like a long time to have a conversation, but it'll go by fairly quickly, especially if you're, between your elevator pitch and maybe, the social kind of interaction to build rapport. At that point, you might have anywhere from, let's call it 6 to 7 minutes left to get what you need, right? So what I'll say, and I probably can't stress enough, is this is a two-way street, right? This is your chance to see if you want to come work for us as much as it is for us to see if you're going to be a great fit with the firm. So again, I don't think the social skills are going away. Still going to have to bring it, right? But come with a purpose. Keep your elevator pitch to the bare minimum. Let your resume speak for itself and focus on the conversation. So if you already know that you're going to apply for a certain role, let the professional know that, right? And then maybe the conversation is going to be more about, what do you do at the firm? And if it's in the same role, then talking about, well, what does that day-to-day look like? Or can you tell me more about, the types of projects that I might be working on? Or better yet, if you're unsure, right, you got to come prepared. So you can say, I see that you have these positions listed. Here's my background. I'm trying to find some guidance on which position to apply for. And is there any insight that you could give me? At the end of the day, right, we're here to help, but we're not here to handhold, right? We don't want to force you into a position that you think might be the right position unless you honestly think it's the right position, right? We can tell you what the projects are like. We can tell you maybe based off of your skills, what area you might be, more set out to be focused in, but we want you to be comfortable with it. So take the time to get to know the firm. Take the time to really think, what do I want to accomplish in these 10 minutes? And it's okay to bring that up because, again, it's a short amount of time. We want to accomplish that. But here's the best part. Just don't forget, 10 minutes is just the start of a very long conversation. So think about it. Think about this as long ball, right? Use the 10 minutes. Make sure in that last 1 minute, you get the thank you and then ask for contact information. You can always follow up with the person afterwards. If you have more questions, or even if you want to let them know, hey, thank you so much for your time. I actually ended up applying for this position, and keep that conversation going. Doesn't need to stop in those 10 minutes. So Nick, I hope that's helpful.
That's amazing. There's not much insight going into this career fair, so to hear that from you, I know that students would benefit from. I know that it's something that's been on my mind too. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share your insights with us. Anuj, thank you so much.
And Nick, I'll leave you with this, right? This is new for everyone. So it's okay to be nervous, right? It's okay to get a little frustrated maybe with technology if it's not working the best way that you need it to. But just know we're all doing this together, right? We'd much rather be in person, shaking hands or not, elbows, whatever you want to call it. But we'd rather be in person. We want to get to know you. Everyone loves, reading body language and just in that environment, right? You get into that zone. But it's okay. So if you're a little nervous, if the doorbell rings while you're talking to someone, obviously try to minimize distractions. But hey, we're all living in this world. My dog's walking around right now. My mom's upstairs working. My sister's in nursing school right now, and I'm waiting for my lease to begin at my apartment because I'm like, this is very different for me too. So just know it's okay, and there'll be that sense of grace from the professionals that you meet with. So if there are distractions or things are happening, it's all right. It's a weird time, but we're trying to make it through together.
For sure. Thank you so much, Anuj. Well, that's all the time we have for today. That's a wrap for this week's Luddy Career Jumpstart. See you next time, where each week we discuss a different topic focused on helping you jumpstart your career in tech. Thank you, Anuj.